Al Capone is one of the world's most notorious gangsters. He symbolizes the growth of organized crime in Prohibition-era America. But this famous criminal didn't start out that way.
Al Capone's parents, Gabriel and Teresa Capone, immigrated from Naples, Italy to Brooklyn, New York in 1893. Gabriel worked in a barbershop like he had back in Italy, while Teresa stayed at home to watch her children. Alfonso Capone was born on January 17, 1899, and would be just one of many children for Teresa the mother, 5 of which would become involved in criminal activity.
Al did well in school, with a steady record of B's. But the teachers were strict, and considering Al had a problem with authority, a conflict was inevitable. When he was 14, Capone got into a fistfight with a teacher and was expelled. Shortly after, his family moved, and Al never went to school again.
Al took up odd jobs, such as working at a candy shop, and joined small-time gangs until joining the famous 5 Points gang. He was mentored by Frankie Yale and employed by him in 1917 as a waiter at the Harvard Inn. Here Capone got the scars that would give him the nickname Scarface. He accidentally insulted a woman and got into a fight with her brother, and was slashed 3 times on the left side of his face.
In 1918, Al Capone met May Coughlin, the woman who would become his wife. However, even though he loved May, he also had mistresses, and contracted syphilis from one before he met May. This wouldn't become a problem until later in life, though, and they married later that year, on December 18, 1918, after she gave birth to their child, Albert Francis Capone. They lived in Brooklyn for a year, until Al decided to move his family to Chicago at the invitation of Johnny Torrio in 1920.
Torrio wanted Al to join the gang he was in, which was the Colosimo mob, headed by Big Jim Colosimo. Torrio then gained control of the mob after Jim died, and subsequently Capone's status raised too. Capone soon had his own little section of the gang, which was under Capone's control and worked side by side with Torrio.
Capone moved his gang to Cicero in 1923 to expand his control. He was met with rival gang leader Miles O'Donnell, resulting in a gang war. Because of this, the 1924 election for mayor in Cicero was incredibly corrupt, with gang members threatening people to vote for whichever candidate would be best for their gang. Capone's candidate won, resulting in a major victory for Al, as he had won control over its government.
1925, the Capone-Torrio alliance arranged the killing of Diane O'Brien. Also, the members of his gang were not happy about that. They ambushed Torrio in an attempt to kill him. Torrio had to be hospitalized and decided to retire, giving Capone the control of the gang.
Capone expanded his industry, operating from his headquarters at the Lexington Hotel, where Blue Star Auto Parts is now built. He became well known with the people and other gangs, which of course led to more enemies. One of his biggest was Bugs Moran, who led numerous assassination attempts on Al Capone.
Al Capone realized he needed to put Bugs Moran out of operations and arranged to have Moran and 7 of his men killed on February 14, 1929. This is one of Capone's most famous killings. 4 men dressed up like cops and entered the warehouse where the 7 men were, and had them line it up against a wall and then surprised them by shooting them.
Following the St. Valentine's Day massacre, Elliot Ness was charged with the task of capturing Al Capone. So to lay low for a while, Capone arranged himself to be arrested. On May 17th of 1929, Al Capone and his bodyguards were captured in Philadelphia for carrying concealed deadly weapons. They served their time for about 9 months in Pennsylvania's Eastern State Penitentiary.
1931, Al Capone was arrested for tax evasion, largely due to the efforts of Elliot Ness. Capone eventually settled on Alcatraz, becoming one of the famous residents there.
Al Capone's last years were spent in Palm Beach, Florida with his deteriorating health and was unfit to continue with his previous line of work. On January 21, 1947, he had an epileptic stroke unrelated to his syphilis. He was recovering well until pneumonia set in on January 24th, and the next day Al Capone died at 48 years old.
Al Capone has gone down in history as one of the most famous gangsters in the Prohibition-era crime syndicate. He was feared by many of the same profession, but was also loved by many as well. Movies were made based on his jaw-dropping real story that continues to give audiences everywhere a shock. Al Capone will always be remembered, his story one of many that define Chicago today.